Well, she left on a dark, sad night, never said where she was going. I can still remember how her long hair was flowing, and her eyes, the way they shined in the firelight. I cannot tell you how much I cried that very night. What a work of art was your second-hand heart in the gallery, where there's not much here to see. And I know I wasn't the kind of lover you wanted me to be, so I guess this is Farewell, Lucy.
Hi folks, I'm Matt Selleck with the 100 Mile Arts Network. On today's episode of Art to Heart, we meet with up-and-coming musician Jacob Milnes. From his home studio in Val-de-Meaux, he speaks to us today about his musical upbringing, his inspirations, and his hopes for the future. Let's meet Jacob. Hey man, how's it going?
It's going.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for having us here in your home in Val-de-Meaux.
Yeah, no problem.
So, and in your beautiful studio space here, this is wonderful.
Absolutely.
So, tell me, man, how did you, what was your introduction to music?
I come from a very musical family. My grandfather has been playing piano since he was about 12. And he plays guitar also and violin. And my uncle is a trained classical violinist. He plays in orchestras and he teaches. And so I've been around classical music and jazz and pop music all my life. And my first like introduction to music where I was like, this is kind of like what I want to do. Like it kind of blew me away, short-circuited my mind, you know, was when I heard the Beatles. I was about probably 5 or 6, and my grandfather, who has always been introducing me to music all my life, he played the Beatles for me, and he had a DVD of the Beatles actually on Ed Sullivan, and just, you know, seeing those guys and watching them play and do their thing, and it sounds cliche, you know, of course, the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, but that performance really is it's something magical, you know, and seeing those guys. And so yeah, the Beatles really influenced me coming up, and Ringo especially. I played drums for a while when I was a kid, and from there I've been playing in bands, trying to get people together to play music, and it turns into the studio and it takes up my whole basement, and I just can't wait to keep going and see where it takes me.
Well, it's a good thing for your basement, for a basement to be filled up with,
with
musical instruments. I was looking at your record collection. It's quite a eclectic a collection of different, genres and materials. So tell me about some of those influences on your music. You mentioned the Beatles and that. I see, you got Elvis in the wall there behind you. Tell me about how some of that has influenced your music.
I don't know really, like it makes its way in different ways, I guess. But the blues especially is a big one. Like when I first started playing guitar, I was about 12, and I was listening to a lot of Albert King, B.B. King, and Eric Clapton, Muddy Waters, and people like that, you know. And so that really influenced me early on, and kind of, I think, laid the foundation for most of what I would go on to do. And the Beatles also, like pop music and pop music of the 50s and the 60s.
So much comes back to the Beatles, man.
Yeah,
everybody's like that. It's wonderful. Yeah. I see a lot of different instruments here. You got guitars, banjos, drums, keyboard back here. So is there a particular instrument that you feel most drawn to, or do you dabble in a lot of different things? How does it?
Well, I do dabble. I do. But the guitar, for sure, is the most is my main instrument. I started on drums, but when I was a kid, but well, I really wanted to write songs and get up front. I was playing drums in bands, and saw those people up in the front, and I was like, I want to be up there. I don't want to be back here. So I picked up the guitar and started writing songs and singing, and and now it's my main instrument. Like I record my own stuff, and so I have like a necessity to play other things. But I mainly play the guitar.
So for the way you write music, what informs the material that you're writing? Like, what do you write about?
Mostly my experiences, with people that I know, relationships and memories of events in my life, kind of make their way out through song in various metaphors, So it's not exactly a detailed description of my life. It's all it's songwriting. So, but I get a lot of the way I write songs from people like Dylan and Joni Mitchell and people, obviously all my influences and people that I listen to. That's where I learned how to write songs, just by listening to those people.
So you work sounds like you write music on your own here in your space, but you also collaborate with other people. You have a band. How does that work?
Well, I've collaborated with Mia Kelly in the past. I played in her band for a while when she was doing her EP release, and I play with Alison May Foring a lot. But my main collaborator is a guy named Jake Hayduck, who plays drums with me, and I've been playing with him for a long time.
Great drummer, by the way. Shout out to Jake.
Yeah, absolutely. He's fantastic. We record a lot. He plays keyboards and he does his own production, and he's great. We work off each other a lot and do all our projects mostly together. So yeah.
Do you guys have a band together? No, is there a Jake?
Yeah, we did. We had a band called Abstract Odyssey with a guy named Declan Ryan, who's a fantastic guitar player from Ottawa. And we plan to get that back up going soon. But since the pandemic, it kind of fizzled, and it was just me and Jake playing. So right now, it's basically just me and Jake, and I play electric, and he plays drums.
So what do you want to do next? Like, if you could do
next?
Musical project, anything, world's your oyster. What would you?
Well, I've recently really gotten into film, and Jake and I have been working on film projects, and I've been writing screenplays, and right now actually I wrote a screenplay, and we got some actors together.
Oh, cool.
And we started filming a short movie that will be coming out in the next year or so. So yeah, I'm really into that. I've been watching a lot of Jim Jarmusch movies, and I love Wes Anderson movies, and independent film. But moving forward, like I'm moving to Montreal next year, so and I'm going to be studying music at Concordia. So I look forward to meeting people, in Montreal. I'm really looking forward to, and just building on the community in music, and and film in the future. I mean, I don't really know. It just kind of comes, and I do it, and
well, maybe in a couple of years I'll be coming back to see you as an interview as a filmmaker.
Maybe.
Yeah. Is there any interest in doing in marrying film and music together in some capacity?
Yeah, there is, of course. I did my CJEP did a theatrical presentation of a play called Oedipus the King this year, and I was in charge of making the soundtrack for it. So I did a whole soundtrack, and I wrote it out, and I recorded it and played it during the performances, and that was a great experience to write music for a visual performance with acting and all that, and putting it all together. I really loved that. So I look forward to moving to Montreal, so meeting people and working in like kind of both I look forward to seeing what it brings me, you know.
Absolutely.
That ability.
I was just curious, what's that like when you were writing a soundtrack for a production? Like, you know, when you're writing music for yourself, you're drawing from your own inspirations, your own experiences. Writing a soundtrack for someone else's production, how do you go about doing that?
Well, I had a meeting with the directors, and I got to watch the actors perform it in practice a couple of times. And so I could kind of get the story in my head. And I didn't write any lyrics. It was all just instrumental. But yeah, like the directors gave me notes of certain emotions and certain sounds. And I got a feel for the script. And so yeah, I was just able to express something musical, like emotion through music and recording. And yeah, they really enjoyed what I did. And I had a really fun time doing it. So...
Very cool. Yeah. Well, hey man, thanks so much for meeting with us.
No problem.
We'll be seeing more of you down the road for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I hope so.
Okay. I'm not looking for no action, and I'm not cracking any case. I just watch people's interaction between their brains and the database. It keeps them dreaming of a podium and keeps us tied up in the race. But I'm not going any particular place. Oh, I'm not going to Jerusalem, and I'm not going to Rome. I'm not on some sort of pilgrimage that keeps me looking for my home. I'm not searching for an angel. I don't need no heavenly embrace. Oh, 'cause I'm not going any particular place.